Tomorrow night, we're up against our favourite whipping boys in Tottenham Hotspur. My friends, they've only beaten us once in the last 12 games. We've won our last 4 London derbies against them as well. And we tend to get more points in their stadium compared to even getting points at home. So on paper, everything's going in our favour. But I feel like there's a big thing that I'm not seeing discussed right now. And I'm feeling like Spurs might have a few tricks up their sleeves when it comes to playing against us tomorrow. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what to expect, and you guys know the rules. It's match preview time, so if you're feeling optimistic, if you're feeling like we're going to get that win tomorrow, only hit that like button. Good vibes only. You guys know I'm superstitious. I'm going to go through the match breakdown, predicted lineup, press conference key points, and my prediction right at the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Show us some love, and let's tackle and get into this match breakdown versus Spurs. So I think we need to start off by talking about Thomas Frank, right? Because there's 2 little tricks I think Spurs are going to have for us tomorrow. Number 1, I'm expecting Spurs to use a back 5 system. I see it happening. And the reason behind why is that Thomas Frank has been using 3-5-2, 3-4-3 against us whilst he was the manager at Brentford. And I guess the other trick up their sleeve is that Spurs now have Thomas Frank, and Thomas Frank has collected too many points off us, man, over these last few years. In 8 games, they've actually beaten us more times than we've beaten Brentford back in the day. That's 3 wins for Brentford, 2 draws, and the rest going to us. It's not great, it's not good enough. But it's testament to Thomas Frank, how he sets his teams up, how he gets the details right. We're going to have to respect that. Even though we're seeing some exciting things in our team right now, we aren't at that level to go into this game tomorrow completely arrogant. We cannot afford to do that whatsoever, because there's a final thing that Spurs do have, and that's that ability to attack goals from set pieces. And right now, we're super effective against the long throw OP. Balls over the top from counter-attacks. And of course, aerial balls inside our box too. So we're going to have to come correct against Spurs tomorrow. We're going to have to be very, very focused. I don't feel nervous. I don't feel apprehensive. That's not the right words. But I feel precaution. I think that's the word. If we get our details right, if we play how we have to, if Maresca sets this team up nice tomorrow, we want to see a few favourite personnel in this lineup starting, because we know what type of damage and danger they can cause the Spurs team. I feel like maybe we can find some success and results against this Tottenham team. But I guess for the final detail I want to discuss too is discussing Spurs' recent loss to Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. Because yet again, there was one more final surprise. And against these lot, Spurs actually play the game differently to how they've approached games this season. Now, a lot of Spurs fans have been complaining about how Spurs move the ball. Too often, it's moved from left to right, nothing forward. And as you guys are seeing through some of the stats on screen right here, let me just try and make that a bit easier for you lot. Give me 1 sec. You can see from the passing patterns on the left side here, most of the passes are going down the left and down the right. And there's been many complaints about the pivot of Bentancur, Parlinia. Yes, they're offering defensive solidity, but in terms of like central ball progression, it has been lacking. It hasn't really been there like that. But against Newcastle, even though they lost 2-0 to details, a really big mistake from their keeper and Kinski as well, they created quite a lot of threat from open play. A lot of times they were ruining their own potential and their own patterns they were creating. But Spurs were finally showing that they weren't just relying on Mohamed Kudus to turn magic into something and kind of like force the agenda for them. It's been a big criticism from Spurs fans that they look too one-dimensional, and there's this fear that it would eventually cost and hurt them eventually, right? But Thomas Frank is doing some interesting things. He's switching things up, as you guys are seeing here. All the ball passes, forward passes, left side, right sides. And on the right side here, more central progression going up against Newcastle. So we're going to see a Spurs team, I believe, are going to set up using a 3-5-2, but they're also going to look to play through the middle a lot more. This could actually unlock maybe Xavi Simons. Don't believe all the negativity around this guy too much. Yes, he has been a bit quiet at times. A lot of times it's because he's isolated in the middle and has no one to combine and play with. And that's the type of player he is. So I think Thomas Frank has understood those details. And we're going to have to come prepared, because Maresca, he did talk about the facts after the Sunderland defeat that, at times, are we being a bit too predictable to the opposition managers? How are they knowing straight off the bat to set up using a back five setup? Maresca said that he got spun, he got confused, because when he's doing his research and preparation, he's seeing teams using back four systems and then they're switching things up on the day. I feel like if you're Maresca right now, you can't be naive anymore. I think all of us knew for a minute now, what teams have clocked onto us right now. And I don't think Spurs will be the exception tomorrow. So right now, we have to talk about the lineup, or the lineups I think we might have to use to try and counter this Spurs threat, yeah? Really interested to see you guys' opinions, but let's start with the first lineup that I have the most hope for. And for me, it is going to be the inverted system. I remain adamant that the inverted setup is a really nice big game tactic. It's got us quite a lot of good results, especially when the game can be a little bit open at times. I think we need that. I think this team gives us the best balance to try and attack and have a go at Spurs. You're seeing some surprises here. I've gone for Mark Yu up front. I can guarantee you guys with anything, yeah, that Maresca was fuming at Liam Delap even more behind the scenes than we ever know, because he messed his preparations and tactics up for the game against Spurs. It would have been both himself and Joao Pedro terrorizing these lot, and Delap ruined the assignment and he stopped those possibilities. But I don't think that because he's not there that we shouldn't kind of stick to that game plan. And I think there's a reason why Mark Yu, of course, didn't maybe start against Wolves. I just need Mark Yu to harry, be a menace, impose himself on the centre-backs, drag them, try and create space for our talents between the lines. That's all he has to do. And I think this guy is ready to run his socks off, and that's what we need for him. In attack, I need to see some carrying threat. I can accept that we might not see what I want to see, which is Gittens on the left and Estevao right inside, purely based on the fact that they're young and these lot just played midweek against Wolves. So I'd imagine that Neto probably comes back in the team, but I don't want to see Neto and Garnacho. I think that's overkill. But I think for those reasons, I need to see Neto on the left-hand side. I just feel like, in my opinion, for myself, only for myself, you don't have to agree with me, but I feel like he's just better suited to the left-hand side in terms of his directness making more sense. I've not forgot that delivery to Achimpong against Nottingham Forest. I just feel like, compared to the right-hand side, but listen, he was decent against Benfica. I'll give him credit there. I just see a bit more purpose and a bit more danger from Neto. And I think maybe that could be a good balance to have. That direct threat will go straight to the byline, and having Estevao that can kind of come inside and connect, hopefully, and link up alongside Joao Pedro. They're the details I want to see in this game. Obviously, Enzo, Caicedo speak for themselves. Let's hope these guys are switched on. But I don't even have to say that, because these guys are forever switched on against Spurs. Enzo Fernandez loves scoring goals against Tottenham, and don't be surprised if he continues his record against these lot tomorrow evening. And defense is where, I've been thinking about a few things, right? But maybe there's a reason why we didn't see Fofana or Jalaba. I think they may be the central pairing, but I do have to say this. I have to impose with this. If Maresca had things his way, I think Badiashile is the first name on the team sheet week in, week out during October, without a doubt. And you would have maybe seen one or two guys partnering him. It would have been either Achimpong or Jalaba on a more consistent basis. it's been a bit mad that Maresca has been countlessly rotating defensive options. That doesn't always help in terms of partnership, because great defenses aren't on an individual basis. It's on a balance, it's on a connection, it's on a relationship. So I mentioned this point because my little fear would be how often have Chalobah and Fofana really played together. And in my opinion, aren't both defenders maybe a little bit similar in the sense that they both like to be more proactive, leaving their lines to engage higher up. We saw Chalobah do that masterfully against Paris Saint-Germain, and Fofana likes to do the same thing. For some reason, I just get this vibe that they'll play together, even though I think maybe Action Pong remains because at least he can kind of like hold the line and he's shown that he can do that. But I'm just getting this vibe that it might be Fofana and Chalobah in defense together with both Cucurella and Reece James, with James inverting inside, and I think Cucurella just offering that left side balance, which I think we kind of need. Just very quickly too, I kind of sympathize with Chalobah a bit. No one gives him any credit for the fact that he's playing out of position on the left-hand side. He is not a left side defender. Naturally, some of the passing exchanges between the lines. Bro, let's not forget what this guy does on the right-hand side. This fan base is very harsh all the time, looking for a scapegoat. They're not fair in the details. I need to say it, man. I need to say it. But I feel like this is the realistic lineup that I could see tomorrow. But you guys, I do have another lineup to discuss too. This is the second lineup I'm also possibly foreseeing for tomorrow too. And that lineup is more of like a 4-3-3, because the game plan then is to have Lavia in that midfield alongside Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. If that is the case, when you have that type of defensive structure behind an attack, I feel like you would have to then use Gittens on the left and Estevao on the right-hand side. That will give them more emphasis to try and push Spurs back. Because for me, if they're going to use a wing-back system, yeah, it's imperative. If you want to beat wing-back systems, you must stop the wing-backs getting forward. I don't think we do that enough because we don't dominate down the flanks enough. To dominate down the flanks, you need to simply make overloads. And these overloads I want to see would involve the little triangles. The triangle of Reece James and Estevao combining with Moises Caicedo in the channels. Same thing down the left-hand side with Gittens, Enzo, and Cucurella. In my opinion, listen, I might be going for this lineup against Spurs tomorrow, realistically, and I feel like when you have like a Lavia in this team as well, even Moises, either one of these guys can kind of drop in to make that makeshift back three, allowing Chalobah and Fofana to split wide. And at least that way we have real strong central progression by having either one of Caicedo or Lavia dropping deep. I think that could be quite good for us in terms of finding avenues and possibilities to play through that Spurs press. That could actually spin them and hopefully create a few overloads in the central areas to move the ball up through the thirds and up through the blocks. So as I'm saying, I'm probably more inclined to use this particular lineup right now. I think on paper, it could be really balance the strength of midfield to win the midfield battle, which is key. The 1v1 carrying threat, you know, against teams like Spurs, man, you don't win the game in the lab. Sometimes you need to just like, you know, let these guys cook, let them instill that fear and doubt in their opponents. The best players that do that are the ones that managers have to create game plans against. The guys that you can't really control, the 1v1 threats. And I think with Gittens and Estevao's form, as we're seeing right now, for me, I think they're the best balanced attack. And I love to see these guys unleashed with Joao Pedro getting supported. So in my opinion, you guys, I would go for this particular lineup. Let me know in the comment section what you, man, are going for as well. But very quickly, we're going to end things with a few more details to get through and discuss. And I think we'll have to talk about just some of the key points in the press conference before I give you guys my prediction. Now, in terms of some of the things that we learn, it's going to be very brief. I'll be honest with you. Considering it's a big London derby, I was a bit disappointed with how boring the presser was. It didn't really give us too much context. I'm going to spare you guys all this long overdrawn talk on Liam Delap getting sent off and what Maresca said. We know what's happened right now. We know Delap's not happy. Obviously, he's not happy. Obviously, he wants to play against Spurs. Yes, we let him down. We get it. Let's move on from that. But in terms of other details, you guys, there wasn't really too much exciting things to really get through. Obviously, we've got a decent record against Spurs in their ground, of course. There were some interesting talks around Garnacho versus Gittens. Again, I just felt like Bereska was playing things too coy, not really revealing things. I mean, I get it with like a big upcoming game like this coming up, yeah. You don't want the manager to kind of second guess what you're thinking, right? So said both Gittens and Garnacho, they're adapting, bro. They're now scoring, they're now assisting. I guess he'll keep, Frank thinking right to the very end in terms of how we're going to approach and set up the game right. And I think just outside of that, you guys, you know what? I'm just going to not bother with the rest. I'm going to give you guys my prediction tomorrow. And I might sound a bit mad, but I'm only going to give you guys my prediction based on what I'm seeing right now. And I think, yes, we're scoring a few goals here and there, but I just think maybe we do have a little few defensive frailties. Now, like 45% of me is going for a win tomorrow, and it's like 2-1, yeah, 3-2, something like that. But the other 55% of me is actually thinking, would it surprise me if I saw a 2-2 draw? I do think Spurs do have a lot of weapons against us, especially from attacking set pieces. That's the thing that scares me, the long throw-ins, the set piece threat. That's not going to improve overnight in a handful of days. I think we can create the opportunities, but I think there's a certain details in the current context of our season right now that isn't like completely there right now for me to feel fully confident that we're guaranteed to win this. Even though like I'm so close to saying it, but I just feel like tomorrow, you guys, I think we're going to see a 2-2 draw. I mean, Spurs, they're having a pretty decent start to the season. They are a bit hard to play against, and I also got to respect that too. So my friends, leave me your prediction. Do you feel a lot more optimistic compared to me? Let me know in the comments right now, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow on match day. Love, my friends. Cool.